Hey, this is Tim, your host on the Ordinary Man podcast. Thanks so much for taking the journey and time with us as we grow to be extraordinary men in this ordinary world. I hope this episode encourages you to live out the purpose on your life. Now enjoy this month's episode.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to this month's episode of the Ordinary Man podcast. My name is Tim, your host, and I am super excited just for this episode. We just finished Thanksgiving. We are headed into the month of Christmas, and I'm excited for what's to come. And so I have two special guests, basically the two amigos that are here, Mr. Matthew and Mr. Hunter, two friends, two buds, and they're in town. And I was like, hey, let's make this podcast happen. So welcome to this podcast.
Timbo. Yeah.
Hello, Tim. I like that you referred to the month of Christmas.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yes. Month of Christmas, it happens day 1, December 1st. Let's make it happen. But I just had a quick question for you before we get into what we're talking about. Literally, today's going to be unscripted, and we're just going to see what happens. We apologize if we offend anybody that's listening. Mom, I'm sorry. Or Dad, I'm sorry. And we're just going to make it happen.
Can I just stop you and say this might be the most ordinary podcast you've ever seen. Just two very ordinary guys. We're talking about the ordinary man. I'm sorry. This is very ordinary.
Very ordinary.
Very regular.
Very. Praise the Lord. Don't want to be irregular, but you want to be regular.
No, yeah, you do want to be regular, not irregular. That is very true.
Awesome. But yeah, so here's a question for you. You know, Thanksgiving just happened and Christmas is on its way. I just want to talk about some desserts for a minute. Are you pie people? Do you like pie?
Yes, I'm a pie person. Cracker Barrel has a pie, a cinnamon roll pie that they have released annually, and we make a special visit to Cracker Barrel to get this pie for holidays, for Thanksgiving and for Christmas. So if you have one of those near you, I recommend that you go out and get one of those pies.
Yes, dude, I've had that pie. It's pretty solid. Not gonna lie.
I'm fairly big on the chocolate game.
Okay.
So I'll take a chocolate pie. I'm not afraid of that. Not huge on the sweets.
Okay.
The more of a dad I become, which I don't know if that's a term exactly, but I feel like
I think you become a dad.
Yes. The more aged in, I guess, that I become is the more I gravitate towards sweets. So I'll dive into a pie.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm more of a pumpkin pie guy. Year round, actually, but Thanksgiving and Christmas is the pumpkin pie for me. But
I tried a pumpkin pie for the first time, I think last week.
Okay.
I was at a Lord of the Rings party, and I just watched Lord of the Rings for the first time like a couple weeks ago. I watched all 3 movies with my wife.
Yeah.
And then we got invited to a party.
Mm-hmm.
So I dressed up as Gandalf. And yeah, I just went all in, and then I had some pumpkin pie. So
Did you like it? Was it solid?
it was very solid. So
Okay.
it's been a great fall.
Okay. Not solid.
It was not solid. The pie was not solid. It was a good consistency for a pumpkin pie.
Praise the Lord.
Yes.
Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, those that are listening, I do apologize. We are outside at a coffee shop. And so if you hear people ordering, cars starting, doors shutting, kids yelling, or just us laughing, we're just loving life right now. So, hey, why don't you, I'm going to start off with Matt. Matt Posten here, Posted Up with Posten. Why don't you just share a little about yourself, and then we'll go to Hunter next. Share about your family, what you do, maybe even something the Lord's been teaching you in this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, my name is Matthew Posten. I'm originally from Gainesville, Georgia, which is 45 minutes northeast of Atlanta. I'm 29. I have a family, my wife Jalen, 3 kids, Makai, Riley, and Carter. They are very young, 5 and under. So it's a great time, honestly. It's a really great time at the house. I currently work for a church. I'm a worship pastor at our church, and it is the joy of my life to serve and be a part of the local church and do what I get to do and be able to minister in that way. And so yeah, it's the joy of my life and joy of mine and Jalen's life. We live in Huntsville right now. We came down to visit old Tim in Birmingham, and so yeah, it's really great right now. I think the Lord is really kind of just teaching me to slow down more. If there is anything, and I think that's a good thing for anybody, just slowing down and just really focusing on, just even more specific things. Just, in my life, I would say just, I don't exactly want to just be going at such a fast pace that I just forget what I have in my hand right now.
Yeah.
Like what I have in my hand right now, what I'm focusing on right now, whether it be, my family, family can be a big one, especially for men. I mean, you can work so much, or you can be a part of so much that you just kind of like, they'll always be there, but you kind of can move too quickly past those family things, and especially with your kids. Like, man, kids are getting older; they don't stop getting older. And even just what I'm teaching my kids right now, I'm like, or just even learning about kids in general. I mean, as a husband, as a father, I'm like, man, I'm probably more available than I've ever been for my family, and I think that is such a huge blessing, and just being able to slow down in that and be just just honestly be obedient to what the Lord has gifted me with, and being able to steward that well, and just slowing down. So so that's probably the biggest thing that I'm learning, and the Lord's truly showing me just in this season of life.
Love it. Yeah, I think too. We're all dads here, and we're just in a season of every day something new, every day something different, and it's just trying to figure out, like, okay, how do I honor my wife well? How do I honor my kids well? But also, there's moments when it's like, okay, I cannot fix this. I cannot do anything. Lord, I need you to give me strength, give me patience, give me wisdom. But Matt, you do that so well with your family, with your kids, with your wife. And just in the season that I've seen you walking through to now, like the Lord is doing so much over you guys, and just honored to be there side by side, and honored just to be a friend with you. So
yeah, come on, thank you, man.
Yeah, love it. All right, Hunter, Mr. Hunter Wyatt, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, your family, what you do? Go for it.
Cool. Yeah, my name is Hunter Wyatt. I have been married to my wife, Aspen. I also call her Rosie from time to time.
Let's go.
We have been married for approximately 3,000 days.
Let's go.
It's not quite 3,000 at the time of this recording, but we'll just round up and say 3,000 whole days.
Yeah, I mean, we say Christmas month.
We've all had a
so
day
it works
before.
out. Yeah.
24
hours,
we've had 3,000 of those days together in marriage.
Let's go. Do you just have that like in your pocket? You just know every day?
No, I Googled it right here.
Okay. Praise the Lord.
I'm holding on to it.
I mean, like,
I literally Googled days since January 2nd, 2017.
Come on.
And we're getting close up to 3,000. So when we maybe when we hit that benchmark, I'll be back on the podcast and we'll do like a pie or something, a pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
What do I do? Well, I am a dad as well as a husband. I have 4 kids. Let's see. We have 6-year-old Odette, 5-year-old Moses, 1.5-year-old Sitka, and 5-year-old Mara, which is short for Maranatha. And I didn't mention this, but we currently live in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Cheyenne. Tell us about Cheyenne.
Well, everyone there pronounces Maranatha as Maranatha.
Okay. That's
and there's also a Bible camp called Maranatha.
Mm-hmm.
So people talk about Maranatha all the time, and it drives us insane. And so we pronounce it Maranatha, and then we just call her Mara for short.
Yeah.
But we'll text people her name, like, hey, Mara was born, whatever, and people call her Mara.
Okay.
So no matter what, her name is just, forever going to be mispronounced.
Yeah.
That's our fault for trying to find cool names and not picking normal names like Hunter, Tim, and Matt.
Yeah.
So that's on us.
Ordinary names.
For sure.
Let's go.
So yeah, I've been married for almost 3,000 days. Got 4 kids. So there's probably like a ratio you could do there of like days to kids or,
Yeah.
you know, so a lot of time pregnant and a lot of time, going down that rabbit hole. Anywho, but I'm a software engineer, and that's a fancy way to say I just make websites.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. What made you step into website software engineering?
So I met Matt here in ministry school, and we went through and we both wanted to be worship pastors, and he became a worship pastor and I became a software engineer.
Let's go.
No, but long story short, I did end up working at a church for about a year, and then my wife got pregnant, and she and I moved back to Birmingham, Alabama for the next several years as we continued to multiply and be fruitful like the Lord commanded.
Amen.
And so we were here for the next several years, and I worked at a tech company, and I just got an entry-level position because I had no experience other than a 2-year ministry school degree, which gets you not very far in the marketplace sometimes.
Yeah.
So I got an entry-level job taking customer service calls, and people would call me and cuss me out when they got the incorrect ice cream delivered to their home. So that was fun. And I slowly worked my way from being cussed out over ice cream into software engineering.
Yeah.
Day by day.
Yeah.
I just made relationships with the people on the engineering team.
Yeah.
And just started doing stuff on my own, like learning and writing little bits of code that kind of made my daily job in that department a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And it kind of went recognized, and it led into like a job where you would like manually test software.
Mm-hmm.
And then from that, it led into me actually writing software. So yeah, it was a day by day journey and trusting the Lord and being frustrated a lot of times because I was applying for literally every position at that company.
Yeah.
They're like, we're hiring a data analyst. I'm like, I'm a data analyst. Do they make more money? I'm a data analyst.
Yes, I am.
And so yeah, whatever position made more money than me, that's what I wanted to be, just because, again, we were being fruitful and multiplying.
Yeah.
And diapers
cost a lot.
They cost a lot.
Austin
Formula, they cost a lot.
Yeah.
So life's expensive. So I just kind of naturally somehow ended up there, and I've come to actually really enjoy it and really love it, solving problems through software. Yeah. So yeah, I love it. Love what I get to do.
Yeah. And you didn't mention either that you are a book author.
I am a book author.
Yeah. Why don't you share a little bit about your book?
I can promote the book on the podcast?
Go for it.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, at least as of the time of this recording, Amazon.com has pulled my book. Dramatic pause. So I wrote a book. I spent years writing this book, pouring this is my life's work up to this point at 29 years of age. The book was called The Biblical Case for Progressive Christianity, and it contained approximately 0 words. It featured some chapters on some dicey topics that we all are aware of today. But yeah, it was just a refutation of, well, not really a refutation. It was just outlining all the biblical examples and the biblical case for what some would know as progressive Christianity. So, yeah.
Do you typically use words like refutation?
I don't know. I don't even know if that's the right word to use.
I mean, it sounds correct to me.
Okay.
You're confident.
You know what? I'm just glad you used it. I'm glad you're bold enough to use it.
I'm trying. So maybe I'll write another book one day with words in it, but as for now, that's my only book.
Yeah.
And because Amazon.com has pulled the book,
because they can't handle it.
The only way that you can get it now is you have to get one of the 15 copies still left in my closet in my office in Cheyenne, Wyoming. So
let's go.
We'll explore. You know, when they emailed me to say that they pulled the book, which let me explain. They pulled the book because it's blank, right? So people are buying this book and they're getting mad that it's blank. And they're writing to Amazon and saying, I spent, $10 or $15 on this book and it's blank. I'm mad, whatever.
I'm sorry. I'm going to stop you. Can you, do you get those complaints or does Amazon?
Amazon gets the complaints. So Amazon actually prints the books and everything. They manage everything for me.
Huh.
And so I guess they can decide to pull it off their platform as they wish. But anywho, so they wrote me a really nasty email saying, hey, we're taking your book down. And I was
nasty,
very upset. And I demanded that I receive information from how my legal team could contact them. I don't have a legal team. And I think that they know that because they never answered my question. They never got back to me on that, and they just keep ignoring the question of how my legal team can contact them, because I think they looked at the book and said, this guy does not have a legal team. So either I'll get it back on Amazon one day, or I will find a different way to get it back out there. But I worked too hard on it, so it's got to go somewhere.
Yeah. How many copies do you think you sold?
The number of copies I sold, I'm not sure, but I can tell you.
How many have you given out?
I've given out quite a few.
Yes.
I can tell you that I have made hundreds of dollars from this book.
That's great.
Hundreds of dollars.
Not just 100, but hundreds.
Which if that's not clear enough, I have made less than thousands of dollars, but I have made hundreds of dollars. Because I think some people think that, I don't know, that's what enabled me to move to Cheyenne, Wyoming, to live on some ranch. First of all, we don't live in a ranch. We don't have any land. If this book had gone better than it did, maybe I would have been able to afford some land and a ranch. But
yeah,
it didn't. I made hundreds of dollars.
Let's go.
I was able to. What was I able to do? I bought my kids a trampoline. That's what I did.
Bro, let's go.
Which, by the way, I don't know if you guys have looked at the prices of trampolines.
They're hundreds of dollars.
They are hundreds of dollars. I thought before I went to Walmart and actually looked at the price of a trampoline that they were thousands of dollars. I thought that I had to save for a long time to buy my kids a trampoline until I went and looked. And then I just bought my kids a trampoline that same day because I was like, it's $200. I have $200. I can buy my kids a trampoline. I never had a trampoline growing up, so I had this image in my head that it was just like high class.
I'm terrified of trampolines. I don't know if you are, but
you should be.
Yeah, I remember just as a kid, I would jump on trampoline. Either I get my head stuck in the spring side, or I just fall off. So that's just me. But yeah, if you're interested in the book, we could probably figure something out. It's a great read. It's a quick read.
Yeah.
It answers the questions really well. And I have a copy. I think it's a signed copy, and so I'm excited. I've read it cover to cover multiple times.
It's a great gag gift for your pastor friends.
Yeah.
It's almost, this book, I've handed it to a few pastor friends and people who lead ministries, and it's almost gotten me kicked out of a few churches.
Wow. On
first glance.
Yeah.
I mean, because the cover and the back of the book are...
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time on those.
Yeah.
And not a lot of time on the contents of the inside. So when you're just looking at the back and the front, I think that you think that I'm serious.
Hey listeners, did you know that there's a way to make a difference by drinking a cup of coffee? The Solace Cup is more than a coffee, but a mission to give drinking water to the world. This is where you and I can purchase a bag or bags of air-roasted coffee that takes the bulk profit of each bag sold and returns it back to the installation, maintenance, and rehabilitation of water wells around the world. So if you're interested in knowing more about the Solace Cup, you can go to www.solacecup.com or to our show notes to find out more on where to find them and support the mission of giving water to the world. Now back to this episode.
Let's talk about this. We'll go back to Matt. Talking about outside and the inside. We as humans, we can have a facade. I guess that's a good word. About who we are, but why don't we go a little bit deeper, kind of to share a little bit about maybe our testimony, maybe how you met Jesus, and just, for you, let's talk about worship. You're a worship pastor at a church is it Huntsville, correct? Okay. And like, what made you step into worship? What made you, what does worship look like for you on the stage, off the stage? What does that look like as a family? But also, just kind of walking through that. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I'll try to be pretty condensed because I feel like that story could be hours worth of just.
Yeah. We got 25 minutes.
I mean,
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. You know what? I'll get it in 20 at least.
Okay, let's do it.
No. So I mean, really, my story starts back at I grew up in church and just kind of always have been around the church. And my family would, my dad always played in the band at church and always was involved in worship ministry in that way. And so I was always a part of going to rehearsals and stuff like that. Well, after some church hurt and stuff like that, I kind of pulled away from God and from, just like the the constantness of trying to engage in that world. I would go to church, but honestly, it was just trying to find how to fit in and all those things going through middle school and even some of the beginning of high school and just truly kind of engaged in a few different ways. One of them was that I really wanted to learn how to play guitar.
Yeah.
And my dad was an incredible guitar player, still my favorite guitar player ever. I will say that for the rest of my life, because I genuinely thought he was the best guitar player I've ever heard. And so anyway, that and also just like, so that was, going into secular music, just playing a lot of secular songs, but I remember just a vivid moment of going on vacation, and my dad was kind of like, at one point playing AC/DC, and then he would switch over to like Hillsong, and then he'd just like go to like back and forth between classic rock and worship music. Yeah. And I was listening to Hawthorne Heights or Jeezy. So, there's just kind of a weird, mix there, first of all, with my music taste. But anyway, I just remember my MP3 player dying, and I remember taking my headphones out, and I was like, oh, my dad's listening to worship music. Golly. And I just remember vividly, like, in that moment, hearing the song With Everything. You all know that song With Everything? Yeah, it's kind of like
Hillsong OG.
Just, yeah, man. And honestly, just felt the presence of God for the very first time.
Wow.
And I was probably 13 years old, maybe 12 or 13, maybe. And I just remember like that changed my whole perspective of like, I don't know what it was. I mean, you kind of expect it's God. And I kind of, at a young age probably knew that. I just, just gravitated more towards the music. And eventually, I mean, that led me on a path of just, starting to lead worship, just recommitting my life to the Lord. Yeah. And then, eventually, I just remember my pastor encouraging me like, hey, I don't know what you're thinking about, but, just leading worship every weekend and everything. Maybe you want to be a worship pastor. Yeah. And I didn't know what that meant. And, he encouraged me to go and go to a preview day for a college in Birmingham, Alabama, Ayo. Highlands College. Ayo. And I went, and I just was captivated by the culture and everything, and I just wanted to go so bad. And you don't leave Georgia. My family, it's kind of we're all close together. You don't like break away from the family, and I love my family so much, and it was really hard to leave. But anyway, from that point, I just went through the process of going to college and just finding, and honestly, like my story, kind of like, I mean, for 5 years I didn't do ministry really. It was just it just till recently that the Lord kind of like, I was committed to the business world. Honestly, the moment I commit to the business world, things just started moving and shifting, and the Lord started opening doors that only He could open. So it was just, so that's kind of how I got to where I'm at now. And honestly, like I can't imagine anything better. Yeah. So
love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Mr. Hunter. You play electric guitar.
I do.
You're a worship leader.
Sure. Yes.
Yes, you are.
Okay. I do lead worship through the guitar.
The guitar.
Yes.
How did you step into that? Was it the same kind of story as Matt, or was it somebody speak that over you? You saw somebody else play, or you just kind of were like, let's just try this out?
So let's go back.
Okay. How back? How far?
Guitar Hero.
Guitar Hero. Let's go. What's your favorite song guitar?
Picture this with me. You are 10-year-old me. You're in a Walmart.
Feel honored.
In Leeds, Alabama. Okay, Leeds is where Charles Barkley is from, by the way.
That's where Buc-ee's is as well.
So that's also where one of the only Buc-ee's.
Have you ever had the beaver nuggets there?
I have not.
Yeah, they're solid.
I actually have apparently gone there and always gotten the worst things to get. People are like, you should really try the brisket. So, of course, I go and get a pulled pork sandwich.
Did you know the owner of Buc-ee's is actually named Beaver?
His name is Beaver?
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah. Hence, there's a beaver in the picture.
Okay.
And the beaver nuggets. Pretty solid.
Okay. So we are in Leeds, Alabama at the Walmart. And I was 10 years old. And I would frequently go with my parents to Walmart, or with my mom to Walmart. And she would spend hours in Walmart. And while those hours were being spent, I was roaming the store. I don't know what I was doing, but I would frequently find myself in the electronics section, looking at all the various WWE DVDs that were for sale. D-Generation X.
Let's go.
Yeah. And I was really into everything at that point in time. Anywho, so they had Guitar Hero, and you could play the guitar, like you could demo the game, right?
Yeah.
And so I would stand there in the aisle of the electronics aisle, playing Guitar Hero as much as I could while my mom was just shopping the store.
Bro, that was the best time. I've done the same thing during when Walmart in those days had all the video games out there.
Yep.
I mean,
Different times.
you just see that's why everybody has neck problems at that age because you're just doing this the whole time.
You're looking up at
You're
the
looking
small
up.
TV that they
Yep.
have above the fold.
Great memories.
Anywho, so I'm playing. I get Guitar Hero eventually. I don't have to go to Walmart to play it. My parents actually did buy me the game,
Praise the
so
Lord.
I could play at home.
Let's go, Mom and Dad.
So I left Walmart. I started playing at home. I think I played Guitar Hero 1, 2, and 3. I was getting up there. I was, I think they have like difficult mode and all that.
What was your favorite song that you
Ooh,
to play? What
great
was like the
question.
one that you could just, what is it, 5 stars master?
I don't know if I remember. I mean, everyone always remembers. I think it's Guitar Hero 3 had like Through the Fire and the Flames.
Yeah.
And I probably could not play that on difficult, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I always played a Slash. Anywho, so and Slash is a perfect pivot into how I actually started playing real guitar.
Come on.
Because I went to my middle school talent show, and I was an attendee because I had no talents. And 2 of my friends got up there and they played "Sweet Child of Mine" on the actual physical guitars.
Yeah.
And I remember how cool I thought that they looked, and I remember how cool I thought all the girls thought that they looked.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
So I was like, I think that this is my future. I think that I should
You're missing out on
abandon
something.
the plastic controller and like actually play the real guitar.
Yeah.
And so I had a real guitar laying around for whatever reason, and I just started playing it.
Not a fake one, but a real one.
It took off. I had an uncle at the time who really loved blues, and so he taught me how to read like guitar tabs.
Yeah.
Which that's all that I used him for because he was trying to teach me blues, and I was not about blues. I wanted to learn how to play Slipknot.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it all got started, and then I started playing in church.
Yeah.
And the church I was at that point in time was like a small Baptist church of 20 people, and they didn't have electric guitars.
Yeah.
It was piano and organ, and then
How did that work?
as far as what piano and
playing.
organ, it didn't work.
It didn't work. Okay.
No, it didn't work. Actually, there is a good story from that church. One Sunday night, me and a couple of friends decided that we would do a Lecrae song. There was a song called "Joyful Noise" by Lecrae and Flame, and if you remember it, it has Lecrae rapping, a guy named Flame rapping, and then a guy who I don't even know his name, but he plays guitar and sings, electric guitar and sings.
Yeah.
So I was going to do the electric guitar and singing part, and my 2 buddies were going
Was
to
it
do
Chris Tomlin?
Yeah, and it wasn't Chris Tomlin.
Just kidding.
That would have forever tanked his career, I think.
Holy
But,
forever, baby.
Yeah, so one Sunday night we decided to do that in front of this church of 20 people, the Southern Baptist Church in Moody, Alabama. 20 people. And we wore sunglasses on stage, and we thought that we were really cool, and the pastor had to get up there beforehand and say, "This music might not be your taste, but just listen to the words." And I think that he was afraid that he would lose all 20 of his congregants at that point if he did not get up there and give a disclaimer. But we did that.
Yeah.
So that was about the extent of my playing at that church. And then I made the big jump all the way from Southern Baptist all the way to the Pentecostal side of the aisle, Assembly of God World and Church of God World. And they had drums on stage, which was new to me, and they had electric guitars. And yeah, so that's kind of where it picked up. I joined my youth band at that next church. We were called Downpour.
Let's go. I love youth groups like that.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah, Downpour.
Downpour.
And we played, I mean, that's just...
Anything that downpours, fire fall down,
Yeah, and funny enough, I actually started playing...
Rain down, let it rain. Only songs that downpour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of how it all got started, and then I just kind of kept playing in church and never stopped.
Yeah.
And here I am still playing in church.
Love it. Love it.
Also, just so you know, something about Hunter is, he's not just an author; he's also an artist. He did create his own album as well. It's a very great album. We'll send it to Tim so he can play it every once in a while on here. Just different tracks at the end of every episode.
Yeah,
it's incredible. You want me to sing a few? You want to sing a few bars? Okay. All right.
Okay, yeah, Matt actually did point out a great thing that I may or may not have left out intentionally. I didn't leave it out intentionally, but
Yeah.
when I was, let's see, 15 or 16, I traveled
By yourself?
no, not by myself.
Okay.
My mother took me
Okay.
to record an album.
Let's go.
You're thinking, okay, she took you to Nashville. You got this thing done. No, we did not go to Nashville. We went to the next best place that you would consider music to be recorded. Oklahoma City.
Let's go, baby.
So at 15, I had a bunch of songs that I had written about being heartbroken over young love and some songs about the Lord. And it was just a mosh posh of songs that didn't go together.
Yeah.
And one song sounded like I was trying to be Owl City, and then another song sounded like I was trying to be John Mayer.
Yeah.
And then another song.
Great combo.
Yeah, I mean, none of it made sense. I went out there and I recorded this album, and I had a photo shoot on top of a parking deck with the Oklahoma City skyline behind me, and it was brilliant. And so, long story short, this was on Spotify and iTunes, and I was not in control
Did
of the
they take you
distribution
down as well?
at all. Yeah, it did get taken down, but it's important to know the details of why that got taken down. So it was just distributed on iTunes and Spotify and all the major platforms.
Yeah.
Throughout my high school years and throughout my college years, in which some of my college friends found it and proceeded to sing all of my songs to me all the time.
Let's go.
And
Well, I'm excited to listen. So send it to me because I want to listen to it.
So, but here's the
promote it.
catch. It doesn't exist anymore because Matt does have a copy. Physical copies do still exist.
Bro.
I have one at home as well.
Okay.
Hidden away. But here's what happened. It was readily available on iTunes and Spotify until my label, quote unquote,
Oklahoma City label.
Yes. They were
OKC.
called Tate Music Group. And if you Google Tate Music Group, you'll see. So what they would do, let's back up, because I wasn't signed. I was not a good songwriter at 15 years old. And what you could do is you could pay a small fortune to have the opportunity to travel to Oklahoma City and have your album produced by some guy in a room.
Yeah.
And then some guy with a camera would take pictures of you, and somehow they would compile all that into a CD, and they could give you the physical CDs, which you had to buy the physical CDs too.
Yeah.
So you've already paid the small fortune to record it and get the pictures taken. And now you have to pay a small fortune to get the CDs to sell them.
Was it hundreds of dollars?
It was hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
Now, unlike my book, I did not make hundreds of dollars off the CD.
Yeah.
And
Thousands.
I took it to my school with me. I took it to high school, and I tried peddling it to all my teachers. None of them wanted it.
Let's go.
My history teacher was like, "Man, I think I left my wallet in the car. Can I get it later?" I'm like, "Sure, I guess." Whatever. But yeah, so long story short, Tate Music Group went down for money laundering and fraud.
Wow.
So all of their distributions were removed promptly from Spotify and iTunes. So at 16 or 17 years old, I'm getting, well, I guess this was after college. They sent me like a class action lawsuit thing. So I probably could have gotten hundreds of dollars from that, but I didn't know what that meant at 22. Class action lawsuit. So I didn't do anything. So I'm probably missing a few hundreds of dollars.
Hundreds. It's in the trampoline right
So,
now, actually.
Yeah, I could have
Yeah.
gotten my kids a trampoline a little bit
Yeah.
sooner. But
Yeah.
So yeah,
Love
I
it.
did record an album, a lot of mosh posh of songs, and it hardly exists anymore.
Cool. Yeah. So as we're talking about worship, you both lead worship on a microphone or electric guitar. I just want to talk about let's define worship. Matt, you lead people on stage. You help them not sing karaoke. You help them not stand in a room, but you engage them into worship. What is worship? The definition of that for you and what you believe that is.
Worship is, by definition, is showing Jesus his worth, right?
Yeah.
It's very, very much our adoration for him and this, but even just for what I get to do, it's such an incredible thing, because hopefully what we get to do is in the moment. our daily lives is worship.
Sure.
For me, I'm like, 7 days a week, I worship and connect with God in that way.
Yep.
But what I get the opportunity to do on Sunday is hopefully lead people to that place where they can experience the presence of God and encounter Him in a fresh way, and hopefully just see lives change through that. Because like me at 13 years old, in the back seat of a Kia Sedona,
Sedona, don't even know.
where the handles aren't even working anymore. It just, that's what I love about what I get to do, is just hopefully leading people and just encouraging our team as well. Like it is energy given. It can be a lot. I mean, because we're not exactly here to we are worshiping ourselves, but it's more of being an example and hopefully leading people to that place. So when we're saying like we're serving and getting to do that, I'm sorry, I'm kind of like processing as I'm going. I know we're kind of unscripted right now, so I was kind of in this moment of just hashing it out loud.
Yep.
But anyway, so it's kind of it's more than that, but I think just kind of a quick glimpse. I'm kind of like rambling through it.
Yeah,
but
love it.
Yeah,
love it. Hunter, what about you? Through electric guitar, through family, what is worship for you? How do you define that?
Yeah, like Matt said, it's really, worship is just giving God honor and glory, right?
Yeah.
And putting that where it's due, and it's all due to Him. So really in everyday life, like he said, just doing the right thing every day, like washing dishes, making your bed, cleaning. I heard it said on a different podcast, or a pastor once said, talking about being like normal, right? Mm-hmm. And this was like a mega church pastor who is very well known. Yeah. And he was just talking about how to be normal, right? Yeah. And he was talking about just go home and wrestle your kids and wash a dish. Right. And so that's kind of what I go back to, is like, whatever God has you doing and wherever He has you, just do that to the best of your ability and just be normal. Right. So don't make it weird. So yeah, like if I'm married and I'm a father, I need to do those to the best of my ability. When I'm at work, like as a software engineer, I should be delivering the highest quality code every day and executing at a high level. And just, people should look at you and they should see that out of you, see that overflowing from you. So yeah, just execute at a high level in everything you do and honor God. And that, to me, that is worship in everyday life. Yeah. As far as from like, and that can bleed right into like the question of like on stage stuff as far as like guitar. Yeah. I'm big on excellence. Yep. And you cannot control whether or not you're the most talented person on stage. Mm-hmm. I would not be the most talented person on stage in most circles that I play in. But I can control how prepared I am. Yeah. And how much I know the songs, and how much I know my part to play in the song, and how much I come prepared to, even if I can't nail this particular guitar part, how can I adapt it in a way that still works? Yeah. And serves the song and serves the service and all that way. So yeah, it's really the same thing for guitar, like, or whatever specific. Let's say you're not a musician or you're not like on the worship team.
Yeah, you just press the play button on a on a boom
maybe
box.
You're the guy running the slides in the back, projectors, or you're the person opening the door.
Scantron.
You're a greeter. You're a scheduler. Yeah, you hand out the pamphlets in the beginning, the worship guides or the bulletins. Yeah. To the church congregants, whatever that looks like, to do it with excellence and bring it to the next level. Do that, and that's to me, that's God honoring, and God loves that. And if He gets the glory, then He gets the glory. And
love it. I go for it. Did you have something? No. I love it, and what you both said is just 100% true. I think worship. For me, for a while, I was. I did some worship, youth pastor for a while, but then now in the season of life where I'm in, family is kind of the focus right now, and we're praying about what's next. But, worship is that, where it's like, worship is something that we love and we give worth to, so it's like, I know we're in Alabama, and football is a big deal here. And, for those that are listening, for the men listening, for those that are listening, like, there's going to be moments, don't say Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Yeah. Woof. War Eagle, baby.
War Eagle, baby.
There's just moments too where it's like everybody worships. It might not be worshiping God, it might not be worshiping the Lord, but we're worshiping something because we give value and we give worth to that. And I just want to encourage everybody, men that are listening, fathers that are listening, dads that are listening, husbands that are listening, like what your kids see, what your wife sees that you give honor to and give glory to and give worth to, that's what you're worshiping. And so I just want to challenge you dads, challenge you husbands out there, like where's your attention at? Is it on the Lord if you love the Lord? Is it on your wife? Is it at work? Like where are you putting your time in and really focusing on, okay, I'm going to give value and give glory and give honor to do that. And so I just want to challenge you guys. I'm challenging myself, challenging you guys here. Like where is our eyes focused on? Where is the prize at? And are we actually living that out fully in our lives daily?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this kind of goes back to like the slowing down piece of kind of what I was talking about earlier. I mean, you can easily idolize, if you want to call it that. I mean, idolize the wrong things or even, I mean, I'll just be honest. Are we all in a fantasy football league?
Nope.
Me? Okay. Me and Hunter
Yep,
are.
I'll just
okay,
listen.
Great. So, I mean, even that for a little bit here, I mean, when I'm at home, it's like, it's important, if my wife is trying to talk to me and I'm like, hey, okay, great. Like she's trying to talk to me, but I'm sitting there on my phone looking at fantasy football. Like, what am I putting my focus on in that moment? What is more important? What's the priority? And a lot of times I catch myself just putting my priority in the wrong place. I mean, like you said, what are we showing our worth to? What are we idolizing more than anything? I mean, so men, fantasy football, it can be a trap, honestly. Yeah. If we're being real.
Yeah, and I would say the one way to know what you are giving worth to is ask your wife.
Yeah.
Like she will know what your focus is on. Yeah. And it's a good reset and, you're one with your wife and so she's going to be honest and she's going to be your number one supporter, but also your number one critic.
The problem is that my wife might listen to this and hear you say that. And now I have to ask her.
You're welcome.
And I'm afraid that she's going to say Alabama football to tie it back to football. But honestly, this year, I might could just tune out, Yeah. We've already lost 2 games.
Yeah.
Might be a good time to just tune out now.
Yeah.
Back out, whatever. Yeah. So, I come back to, this is a constant prayer that I have with God. And when I feel like things get misaligned, I just return to this idea of praying to him and saying, you are on the throne of my heart.
Yeah.
When I feel like something else is starting to creep up there or it has been sitting on the throne of my heart for some time, it could be work or it could be something silly like a little hobby or something, or just something that's getting too much of my attention or something I'm struggling with. Like if I'm placing too much weight into any anxiety or fear I'm having or just thoughts, it's just a reminder. And I almost picture like a position change, right? Like he goes on top.
Yep.
Over everything else, everything I'm struggling with. It's just a constant prayer. He knows my heart, but it's just for me to remind myself where my heart is. That's right. Good. Like you are on the throne of my heart. Yeah. God. And not any of this other stuff.
Yeah.
And
it's simply you
reign above it all.
It's simply just renewing your mind daily.
Yeah.
Just saying, okay, when I wake up, there's days when I wake up real early and I'm exhausted. I just want to drive in silence. But then it's that, okay, Lord, remind me who I am. Remind me why I'm doing what I'm doing. But then also I could glorify you through that. And I'm putting my first focus and first attention on him that day. Yeah. Yeah. As we wrap up, I always ask one question for the guys or whoever's on the podcast. What is the Lord? I mean, you already answered what the Lord's teaching you, but how can you encourage the men, the fathers, the husbands, the sons, maybe even families that are listening to this podcast? How can you encourage them? They're fighting over the mic because they're so eager to answer. But how can you encourage them? One more thing for both of you. Go for it.
Yeah, I don't even know that I actually answered the question of what the Lord is teaching me. So
yeah,
if I did, I don't remember. So I might ramble on the same thing.
Yeah, you're good.
But I'll tie that into my encouragement. So we moved to Wyoming about a year ago. And prior to that, I was involved in a lot of things outside of my normal day job, things that were good and fruitful and impactful as far as ministry opportunities and things that were good. I was not, I was not gambling. I was not out here running in the streets,
causing ruckus,
playing Grand Theft Auto,
Yeah.
Nothing like that. I was doing
Just
a
Guitar Hero.
lot of ministry opportunities
Yeah.
and a lot of things that I thought that the Lord maybe wanted me to do, and maybe He did. And I think that, maybe He had me doing those things. And a lot of things that I just thought were cool opportunities in ministry. And like as far as playing guitar, like I got a lot of opportunities to go play guitar at different places and with and in different situations that were just really, really cool. I think the problem is I was stacking all of these good, quote unquote, things on top of each other.
Yeah.
Right. To the point where, there were days where I was gone from home for 2 weeks at a time. And looking back, I wish that maybe I had been more cautious of my time.
Yeah.
And as much as I thought I was being intentional about my time, I'm not sure that I really was. And I think that it pulled me away from, I think, what my core mission is, which is my family and my kids at certain points.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of what God has been teaching me. And He's brought us from a city of, 1.5, I don't know, 1.25. I don't know how big Birmingham is now, but
Yeah.
it's over 1 million people, the greater metro area. And took us from a larger church with a lot of opportunities to a small city of 60,000 people to a small church of, 300 people with opportunity. But I'm not overflowing my schedule with things.
Yeah.
And so God is using this new season for us in a small town at a small church to really. We just got asked if we were doing a podcast.
Yes, we are.
Yep. But yeah, he's using this time to really show me, that it's okay to slow down. And even if you think you're doing a lot of good things, you probably are. But what's your main mission? What's your main goal right now? And in 10 or 15 years, I'm not going to look back and want any of that stuff that I was doing back. If I missed a lot more time with my children, I was going to want that back.
Yeah.
So I regret nothing about what I'm currently doing in life, as far as the move and all that stuff. So that would be my encouragement. Get space, get margin.
Yeah.
Because I think good things and healthy things happen in margin.
Yeah.
If you're always pressing up against the border, probably not good.
Yeah.
Give yourself some space and margin.
Yeah.
My only encouragement would be, and I think in ministry, as a husband, as a father, I got this revelation just from a coworker, and it's not that complicated. It's really just not just asking questions, but asking better questions. And I think I know that that's super simple and like what in the world, but like I think even in marriage, like finding out that not just talking to your wife or not just asking one question, but truly investing and understanding, like even where my wife is, taking care of 3 kids all day as a stay-at-home mom, like that's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot that she takes on every day, and just being able to not just be like, oh, how's your day, and then let her just spew it all out, and then me kind of like zone out, but more like asking questions and listening. Like it's so simple, but it's like we're to that place where it's kind of like there's a lot of distracting things with 3 kids.
Yeah.
And so just being able to constantly stay in and ask better questions and not just be so surface and and honestly, like you find out more things like, hey, you know what? My wife needs mom time.
Yeah.
So we do 2 hours of mom time every week.
Come on.
And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but for her, and I mean, she is a full-time mom. Like there's little time that she's away. So
Yeah.
I mean, if we can do more, we try to do more than that. But I mean, at least there's 2 hours a week that she is by herself, kid free. And so honestly, like if that's even something that you have never heard of before, that is something you should do.
Yeah.
I completely think that is a very wise decision as a husband to, especially if your wife is a stay-at-home mom. I mean, it's such a big deal for those moms who are just crushing it. My wife is crushing it right now. So yeah.
Love it. Well, fellas, I thank you for being on the podcast today. I know this was last minute, but I'm glad that we got to reunite together as the Three Musketeers. But just super excited just for what the Lord has for you guys. And you're great dads, you're great husbands, great leaders, inside and outside of the home. And I look up to you guys and just thankful for our friendship and just what the Lord has for you. I cannot wait for what's the next season for you guys, but love you. As we close, I'm just going to just kind of do our normal thing, but I just want to say, hey, listeners, thanks for listening to this month's podcast on the Ordinary Man Podcast. Feel free to share, like, and follow us on Instagram at the Ordinary Man Podcast or online at theordinarymanpodcast.com and all platforms. We live ordinary when we can live extraordinary, when we have Jesus in our lives. Much love. Merry Christmas. Bingo, bango, star, spango. We'll see you in January.